Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here to talk about, again, our favorite subject, blockchain. But more importantly, what is happening around augmented and virtual reality as it applies to blockchain and the industries as a whole. During the early parts of this year, as we had CES virtually instead of physically this year, there was a lot of announcements of new headsets from the VR space. There's also a lot of announcements and releases around the AR, augmented reality space as well. We know Apple has very notably entering this space and talking about their future upcoming headsets, along with more development kits getting into the space. Snap or Snapchat doing the same. Vuzix releasing new headsets along with Lenovo into the VR space. But what does that all mean for blockchain? We talked yesterday about gaming along with esports in the blockchain space. If we bring all that together and we look at this digital economy that we have begun living in and building, how does all of this play true into bringing us into that next level of reality, living our lives more digitally than ever? Well, before we go ahead and dive into that, I want to come back to one quick note. Bitcoin today has crossed and surpassed $53,000, and we just read the headlines recently here about the industry almost 10 minutes ago. Bitcoin has now passed over the news that we read. We're now on our way up towards 54,000 and a total market cap of almost $1 billion, resting right now around $993 billion. So a big shout out to the community on that exciting note as well. With that, again, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Big thank you to everyone tuning in. New feature here on VCTV, the comments box. It's live, it's open. Anytime you've got any comments, questions, drop them in there. We'll do our best to ask them in real time. If we can't, we'll all are available offline on social media, and we'll give you that shout out here at the end of where to find us. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. Also, make sure to check out the archive on latoken.com to hear from today's speakers and all speakers of the VCTV family. With that, Harsh, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure. A little intro, a little background.
Thanks, Kyle. Glad to be back as always, and having this panel with you. So, just a brief background about myself. My name is Harsh Shetia. I'm a venture partner with our ventures in India. We basically help startups fundraise all the way from $250,000 to $10 million. We are completely sector agnostic. We invest in all sectors, be it fintech, marketing tech, health tech, whatever may be the case. I personally have experience in the health tech and the fintech space, working for a Fortune 50 company, Johnson & Johnson, and a unicorn like Paytm. And hopefully I can add some value to the discussion today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Harsh. You've got a ton to add. No, don't hide it. You've got a ton to add. I mean, look, AR and VR touches everything, and if it hasn't yet, it will. I mean, I remember the first time I experienced augmented reality really was probably 2009, 2010 with Hewlett Packard opening up this very early version of it, right? You scanned a QR code and something popped up. At that time, it was focused on sustainability, and so it showed like a very clean city and what that smart, intelligent city would look like. First dive into VR was kind of skewed. It was Nintendo's 3D controller or headset that gave everybody motion sickness because it was black and red. I don't remember if you remember that, to date myself. But anyways, come full circle, here we are. I mean, AR is all over the place. We've got games from companies like Mantech. We've got Facebook with Oculus getting into the VR space. Gaming is popping when it comes to AR and VR. When we look at more enterprise, we've got a ton of activity in the healthcare space, a ton in the automotive and manufacturing space as well. We've seen surgeries, spinal surgeries done all through VR, which opens up this world of telepresence that we've only dreamt of or seen in movies. Now here we are doing full-fledged, successful spinal surgeries and many others as well through, again, that virtual and augmented reality space. But would love to hear from you. What are you seeing in these industries and maybe others as blockchain as a whole that has changed over this really last year as a lot of this has been accelerated?
Correct. So AR and VR by itself, they seem like magical technologies just a couple years back, and today we look at it, their penetration is everywhere, right? So you just name it. The applications are there everywhere. You mentioned about gaming. Gaming was one of the sectors which gained the most during the COVID, right? You put VR on top of that, it takes it to another level, right? Uh, the applications are so unimaginatively brilliant, I can't even begin to describe. Even if you're cooped up in a home, you can put one of those headsets and start exercising on that, right? So they could have like a fitness platform where you get tokens on how you perform with the help of blockchain on the back end. You're performing movements, you're exercising with the help of the headset. The headset records everything, and the possibilities are endless. You can do that for general fitness. You can use it for medical technologies. You rightly mentioned regarding neurosurgery, right?
Mhm.
Neurosurgery have been very active in terms of using VR. For the past 5 years, they've already had these handheld automated robotic devices which used to help in very minor maneuvering. Now they're expanding their operations into other sectors as well, like
Mhm.
cardiac and orthopedic as well, because the applications over there, particularly in cardiac, are also quite sensitive. So they're expanding into that space as well. So the applications are limitless, and if you combine that with blockchain, include a token-based reward kind of system, gamify the entire thing, it can take a whole new level which you haven't even thought about right now. Just imagine you're watching the Super Bowl over there right now. It's not there in TV sets as of yet, but if it can be put in the TV sets as well, you're watching the Super Bowl, you put on one of these headsets, and you can see the game right in front of you. A truly immersive experience. Imagine what would that be like.
Yeah.
It's completely different level.
Well, next VR, a company a couple of years ago, I forgot the exact date, so we'll say right around 2014, 2015. Apologies, everybody, we can fact check that as well. Next VR actually opened that door for a lot of us by providing courtside view or seats with the NBA, with the National Basketball Association, where you could sit behind the bench or courtside and feel like you were right there. And you're right. I mean, this opens up a whole new world, especially now today, where we're living in these, situations where we're sheltered in place, or just for the future of, again, maybe you want to experience, for instance, a lacrosse tournament, for instance, or a rugby tournament, or you want to be at the French Open, but you can't actually travel there now. For a small fee of just say $20, you can jump in and be right there in the action, which is very exciting. And we're seeing this more in the gaming space. Catan, a cult classic for many. There is now a VR version of Catan on Oculus that's bringing people in to the game as if you're actually a part of this board game as well. So we're seeing more of this activity, and I expect, to your point, we're going to see a lot more to come as well into natural sports. I mean, imagine sitting into the cab of an F1 Indy car, for instance, at the Grand Prix in Monaco, and what that experience was like. And when we get into, and we do already have some of this technology, haptic feedback. Now you've got haptic feedback or suits that are on with you as well, where you actually can feel like you're there. So not only are you viewing this, but you're actually feeling like you're a part of that. And bringing in yesterday's discussion with Amico Brands and F1 Delta Time and what they've done, maybe there's a revenue model there as well, that you can actually, not only the teams that own these physical cars, but there's digital representations that you can monetize throughout that. And I want to throw one quick stat out there from the IDC. Recently released a report on where the industry was going for AR and VR, again, augmented and virtual reality. They see a rapid growth coming in the very near future, that these industries could reach $28.8 billion by 2024. It's 2021. That's in 3 years. We're seeing an industry that many have said it's probably not going to happen for a much longer. And one of our big experts in the space is about to tell us why. But instead, we're going to go from zero. Again, it's much bigger than that, but we're going to go from nothing to almost $30 billion in 3 years. That's been accelerated, and Noble is here to tell us why. And so, Noble, welcome to the show as well. Pleasure to have you as always. But jump right in. Everyone knows you, Noble Jacrone. By the way, if you don't know, one of the best and the brightest in this space as an investor and as a builder as well. So if you haven't checked out Noble, he's got a ton of knowledge to drop, a ton to share. Also in the gaming space, Noble, drop it on us. Why is AR and VR all of a sudden so hot and people are paying attention to it now more than ever?
Pandemic, there's not really much to really explain. I think that what's happened with the pandemic has accelerated all of our technology implementation. I think this 1 year has compressed almost 5 years worth of adoption across the board, to be sincere. We've all every company has toyed around with and played with the idea of, oh, maybe we'll have flex hours for workers, and maybe we'll modify part of the workforce to work at home and work in the office. And the pandemic made everybody work at home. And so that was an acceleration that nobody really expected, and yet we had the technology to support it already. And so that falls in line with VR and AR. All these things already had practical implications already. We had people utilizing AR to train workers on the work site, to educate people on technical aspects, because remotely maybe the true expert was too far away, so he would guide them through the process. We already had those kind of headsets, but now when you're not supposed to touch, or you're not supposed to be next to people, those things go from being a luxury to almost a necessity. And so whatever drives in the industrial side, which is fully implemented in both factories, the oil industry, high-tech engineering, we saw the development at the end of the year where we had several companies create new products to allow for cooperative AR. All that stuff then became implemented now. And so the next phase is always entertainment, right? We go industrial and now entertainment. And entertainment is trying to recapture the attention of people. I hate to say it, I don't think I'll be sitting in a movie theater anytime too soon. And I love going to the movies. I'm a big movie buff. But if I'm not sitting in the movie theater, what's the next best experience? And that's creating these immersive worlds that people are now a part of the story, or they're engaged with the story in a new way. And so this whole area and this whole industry is being driven aggressively. We had one company that I'm an investor in, one company that we've been supporting and investing in, Ecomi. They've got something like 100 licenses now for creating 3D items. So Ghostbusters, they're about to put out the DeLorean and Star Trek, that allow people to have these AR collectibles that they interact with. That's huge, and it would have never been seen as something that's normative maybe 2 years ago, but people want to have these digital experiences, and now that NFTs and blockchain are all interconnected, it just makes more sense.
And I want to dive into that in just a moment, but I want to give a quick interruption and shout out Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, BTC. This is a big story we've been following here at VCTV, and Maria and I, again, just reported on this about 25 minutes ago that Bitcoin was nearing the $1 trillion market cap just moments ago. It has surpassed that $1 trillion market cap, just slightly over right now, trading around 53,006, maybe 700K, according to sources at Masari as well. So a big shout out again to the community. Sorry, Noble, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that is a huge announcement for the industry. So with that,
that's not an interruption. That's not interrupt, Kyle. Goes back to what I said like 2 weeks ago. If there are $7 trillion companies out there, right, that evolved out of Web 2.0, what is Web 3.0 going to produce? And voila, $1 trillion Bitcoin was already to be expected.
I mean, it's very exciting. So let's turn it back to what you just mentioned around AR and VR and gaming. So blockchain now comes into this role, right? We have our headsets, a few games, and all of a sudden we're forced at home. COVID-19, as we know, and the pandemic in general, forced us all to look at this new digital economy that we've all wanted and now are living in. Then all of a sudden blockchain takes shape into this new world of gaming. You mentioned NFTs, you mentioned some incentives. Bring this full circle. How is this going to empower the future of gaming from an AR and VR stance as this technology enters aggressively in the next, according to IDC, potentially in the next 3 years?
I think IDC is probably being kind. It's going to go faster in the next 3 years. You know, we've already reached the limit of how we watch. And again, these are things I've said before, and for the audiences who are new to hearing me, the screen is a limitation. The idea that we all are sitting at these flat screens in a static space is bit by bit, it has to go away. There's no growth from here. I mean, how much flatter can you get? How much foldier, bendier can you make it, right? At some point, the screen is just not big enough. And so the reality is the projection, glasses, AR, VR, Google was ahead of its time with Google Glass. Those are all things that have to happen like now, because kids are learning at home. Some kids are going back or not going back. And the next 2 years, the instruction is not going to work. And so you have to have this acceleration in how people interact with one another. And augmented reality in gaming is such a big thing. At Wordplay Games, our whole focus is how do we intersect non-fungible tokens and augmented reality and put it out there so people can find a whole entire, intersective life. Over at Animoca and Robbie, we had a great show yesterday. If you guys didn't watch it, a great show about how they're doing F1 and how they're created 3D cars and how they're selling them and giving people an opportunity to have ownership. This space where AR, and VR intersects with NFT creates a level of ownership and asset building that we've never seen before in the gaming arena. And it's engaging, right? It's just an engaging opportunity that when you see AR, you see an item in AR and can play with it and manipulate it, or like you said a moment ago, have a VR experience and ride your Formula One racer, or hang out with the unicorn. We build unicorns in AR, ride your AR unicorn. It just creates a whole nother form of entertainment. And I think entertainment, this part of it, the interactive entertainment, they keep promising it, but I think now it's coming.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we're starting to see more activity in this space. And I want to come back to NFTs, but Harsh, anything to add on to Noble's point, and maybe even bigger picture, what are you seeing kind of shift around blockchain and gaming as a whole to add on?
So Noble was pretty right? If you look at it in the gaming space, it's already revolutionized everything. Couple years back when Nintendo Wii came, it was a huge success because of its interactivity, right? Now you can take that Nintendo Wii, you combine with this, and it goes to a whole other level. You just imagine the practical implications of this, right? It's not just in the gaming. Obviously, gaming is the biggest beneficiary for that. And if you look at it, overall the blockchain acceptance and the BTC acceptance has also gone through the roof, because the current acceptance, primarily the current application, has been in the gaming space, right? But as soon as it penetrates the other industries as well, and it's going to be accepted over there as well, then we will see a truly ubiquitous crypto situation where Bitcoin will be universally accepted, Ethereum will be universally accepted, and become a far more bigger thing than not just what we are talking about right now. Just imagine going to a museum like the Louvre or the London Metropolitan, and you can have these AR technologies over there, and you can have the Mona Lisa right in front of you in the VR space. Just imagine the applications over there. You look at a television screen right now, the television screens you can put on the headset and you can see that. Imagine the TV screens have inbuilt with AR VR technology, which they currently don't have right now, and you can have the live interactive experience with that. I mean, we are literally at the cusp of a major revolution right now, as Noble earlier pointed out, right? This is Web 3.0 right now. And the amount of potential that we have to change the lives, it's never been this amazing before. And honestly, it's one of the best times to be alive right now.
I love it, Harsh, for painting the good picture. We're celebrating today. This is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. This has got us excited. We're going best time to be alive. We're building. We're invested. We're having fun.
Absolutely.
Love it. Noble, talk to us more about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. For those who may not know, NFT, non-fungible tokens. We spoke a lot about this yesterday on VCTV, as Noble mentioned. But Noble, I mean, again, tons continues to happen. I mean, it's to the point where many who are embedded in that industry no longer can keep up because it's so rapid. Which reminds me of the early days, and by early I mean really about a year ago here in blockchain. But really, it's exploding. We had again, for those who did not tune in, apologies if I'm repeating something you may have already heard. We had reports, $250 million of transactions around NFTs in 2020. That was 4x what was done in 2019. Okay, so 250 million in 2020. In the 6, maybe 7 weeks we are in 2021, we've seen more than $100 million transacted. Last year's market cap for all of NFTs was about $340 million. in these 6 to 7 weeks of the 2021, we've seen $100 million. And that $100 million alone has been in the last 30 days. 70 of that million, 100 million was NBA Top Shot. The rest broke down through Cyberpunks and oh my goodness, I'm forgetting one and I apologize who that was, but I'll fact check that here in just a moment. We have seen a ton of activity and it's not slowing down. Noble, why is this so important and what's next to come in NFTs, especially when it comes to gaming and maybe how that, again, comes into this interactive world?
Yeah, so two things, right? We know that this is happening because of what you said a moment ago. Bitcoin just broke $1 trillion. And so people who have been hodling all along the way on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, on Litecoin, on Dog, they're flush with digital cash. And now they're trying to figure out where to set their assets where they're not going to immediately evaporate. And so NFTs have the beauty of being collectibles, one of 30, one of 20. And we've seen it throughout history. Whenever you have the nouveau riche, right, the people are brand new with wealth, the arts immediately follow. That's what drove the Renaissance period. That's what drove every time of art in our history, is that new rich people are now buying art from current designers, artists, because they're one of a kind. And you end up creating a store of wealth. Up until now, the only place that people could trade in the pre-NFT era was buying skins, manipulating avatars, or selling accounts that had racked up a lot of points that came with other assets. This has transitioned, and the funny thing is that was a $6 billion industry by itself because people were using those skins as betting tools. So now people are starting to realize that, wait a minute, I can acquire one-of-a-kind assets, and then the next thing to follow is the DeFiing of those assets. So for us to reach, by the end of the year, 2 to 3 billion, and I'm saying that right, 2 to 3 billion by the end of this year, as an outgrowth of this industry of not only the acquisition of NFTs, but then wrapping those in DeFi products, 2 to 3 billion still doesn't match what is already happening in the $6 billion skin market.
I mean, my prediction yesterday, so just for reference for everybody, DeFi Pulse, according to DeFi Pulse, total locked value, TLV, for DeFi projects, that is, again, total amount of money locked away or put towards protocols and networks along with applications in the DeFi and centralized finance space, is resting at its all-time high, right around 41.6 billion, slightly up from yesterday's crossing of all-time highs. But Noble, to your point, my prediction yesterday was $1.5 billion for this year, and I felt conservative saying that out loud. I think you're right. I mean, at this rapid growth, I mean, again, 30 days, we saw over $100 million, and it's not slowing down. If anything, it's starting to pick up. And what's very unique, I want to add on, and Harsh would love your thoughts on this too, is that it's not just a small subsector of an industry. It's actually starting to grow in terms of adoption. If you look at NFTs specific around sports, there is a moment of nostalgia that people always look towards, and especially in times of uncertainty, even more so. And right now, the entire trading card, the comic books, we had art, Spider-Man comic book and also Spider-Man art yesterday sell for record highs. All of this is driving people to these types of new assets, which lead to new experiences. The onboarding for some are easier than ever. Some is still a little tricky, but nonetheless, this is becoming more accessible. The on-ramps are opening up for many around the world. Now, that being said, it's not full mass adoption. It's just starting to open up. And if this is just the beginning, Noble and I, audience, listen, Noble and I put our two numbers together, and Harsh has yet to give his. So we'll put Noble's and I's together. We're at 3.5 to about $4 billion. We very well could be way off and overly conservative if this really starts to open up. We got Coinbase that goes public here at some point this year for about $77 billion market cap, which could open the floodgates for so many more as well. You've got, again, Top Shot, CryptoPunks, and others who are starting to make it easier. Let's see what happens next. And we also have some good games that are coming out, as you mentioned as well, Noble, that are opening this up. So games are traditional onboarding. Then you get the chance to purchase these NFTs that you can take on and off. You've got more art, which I don't want to leave out there. You've got more art than ever. And you've also got display cases that allow you to hold that art physically. And oh my gosh, is it beautiful. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. So let me pull it back.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, go ahead.
No, go. Well, real quick, Bitcoin just crossed 54,000. Again, a big shout out, new all-time highs to the community. Again, we're continuing to surpass that $1 trillion market cap. So again, big shout out to the community and all the efforts that have gone into the past umpteen years, really helping to develop not just the currency, but the entire technology, what has led us to today's discussion of being able to talk about how blockchain is playing a role into other industries like AR, VR. Harsh, I'm gonna stop. Tell us your prediction. What do you see? And again, continuing the discussion.
So personally, I'm not a man of predictions, so I would not want to get into that because I rarely like to be wrong. So getting up, trying to make a prediction here, I don't want to kind of make a mistake over here because either ways, it is so dynamic. It's very hard to predict, quite honestly. So I would not want to make a prediction here, but as far as the acceptance is concerned, it is really phenomenal, the growth that we are seeing, right? With the NFTs, if you look at it, the applications, right, in the gaming world, in the art world, everywhere, scarcity is always of value. This is a conventional business which people always understand. You don't have to be a tech savvy like us or even something, the entrepreneurs who are even smarter than us, right? You don't have to be like us. Essentially, the business model remains the same as it always has to generations. Scarcity sells, uniqueness sells, value sells. This is what this is. This is turned into a crypto format and through a digital format, and this is something which people can always relate to. Back in the day, imagine a couple years down the line, we have LeBron James coming up with his own NBA NFT. If he gets that on an auction, I won't guarantee the amount, but it would definitely sell for a huge number of bucks, right? So imagine the opportunities and these collectibles, just like right now you're trading with art, you're trading with other expensive cars and these kind of products. Same ways, these NFTs going to be traded like a future collectibles. Indian government regularly publishes these very special notes, right? They are not in circulation, but they are created just for the very purpose for collection, which only the specific industry people work on for very unique purposes and just as a collectible, right? These NFTs can take that to a whole another level because right now you don't have to print them, right? It's completely digital, it's completely crypto. So there's literally no limitation on how much scale it can go to. So you can create a unique token in the name of an individual, and if that individual turns out to be something famous, something, like LeBron James example I gave, or Tiger Woods, or you name it, any celebrity out there, and the potential that it has,
or Noble Capone.
It's impossible. Or Nobles. It's literally impossible to predict. It's going so fast that people like us, even we are getting outdated every year, and we are struggling to kind of keep up with the pace of how things are moving so quickly.
Right. And Harsh, you just now made us feel really old. We're supposed to be atop of the industry. We're supposed to know everything that's happened. We're getting outdated every year. We're getting older.
And unfortunately, every time you meet a new young founder with his new innovative concept in this, and you're completely blown away by what that guy is talking about, and it's amazing.
It's absolutely true, gentlemen. I want to thank you for all the thoughts and insights. But as we come to close here on a Friday, a rock and roll day, and this is an exciting day again for the industry. We crossed that $1 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. Again, shout out to the community and all those who have participated in helping this grow from what was once a white paper, a few pages, great words put onto a paper, to now this thriving piece that really expanded into so many lives and so many other pieces of the industry, of the technology, and now helping to push forward this digital economy. Again, shout out to everybody. Thank you to Masari for giving us the data point on that as well. Harsh, close this out. Big closing thoughts, a prediction of where AR, VR goes, and what maybe blockchain's role will be in that as well. And then, of course, where can everyone find you and AHA Ventures as well online?
Got it. So I wouldn't get into a prediction, but I can definitely get into what the expansion of it is going to be like, right?
Mhm.
Right now, it's restricted primarily to gaming, arts, and a few selective sectors. By the end of the year, you can definitely see its penetration in a lot of other sectors. Right? I already mentioned about healthcare. I already mentioned about sports and other sectors. Right? Its expansion is only limited by our creativity. So the applications are boundless. You combine that with NFT, you combine that with blockchain, you combine that with gaming, not literally gaming, but gamifying the entire process, right? So where you incentivize people to transact on the platform, that will take its adoption even faster, and the acceptance will go even further. So right now, instead of just focusing on one industry, to focus on multiple industries at the same time, and this growth is going to be absolutely phenomenal. It's only a matter of keeping up with the pace of it. So I'm definitely bullish on this sector, and hopefully looking to see a lot of action over here. And if anyone wants to reach me, I'm reachable on Harshetia at LinkedIn. We'll be happy to speak to anyone who's interested in taking thing up for the new crypto project or any other startup in general. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you as well. Harsh. Noble, same thing. Close us out. Closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you online as well?
Easy to find us online. You can find us at Where Play Games. We actually have NFTs on Atomic Assets, so we're really excited about that. And the launch with Street Fighter just this week was really great. I mean, they had some snafus on Atomic Hub, but talk about nostalgia. I grew up on Street Fighter, and the licensing side of this is really what's opening completely wide. You know, you had NBA Top Shots, you have ePromi with NFL, you've got other companies with F1 over that and Mocha. You've got so many companies getting the licenses of projects that we all know and love, that this industry is going to be inundated with stuff just because we can collect it and don't need extra garage space. So give me a call anytime. You can find me at Dracone Capital Partners. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to message me. Noble Dracone, if you want to send me a Twitter, I look at those sometimes, so at Dracone, and just reach out to me anytime.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for the mention of Street Fighter. That's built on Wax, by the way, if you haven't checked them out. And the company I did forget, just to correct and fact check myself. So it's NBA Top Shot, Hash Masks, and CryptoPunks were the top three. F1 Delta Time, again, we had their CEO on yesterday, Robbie Yang as well. Sits in that top 10, right around number 6 at the moment, 24-hour trading. So congratulations to them and the team. Noble, Harsh, thank you again so much for sharing your thoughts and insights around today's topic. Again, blockchain as it's playing in a role around AR and VR. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, share the episode. Also check us out on LATOKEN.com and check out the entire archive to hear more from Noble and Harsh as well on a variety of topics, including today's, along with different technologies and regions around the world. And if you'd like to be on a shows like today, either as an investor, again, like Noble and Harsh, or as an entrepreneur to share your company product or service, reach out to the team and/or myself. We'll find that right spot for you as well. Speaking of team, big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online with Harsh and Noble on all social media platforms. My handle is at Kyle Ellicott as well, and would love to hear from you. When you do reach out to any of us, please add context, where you heard us, where you saw us, and what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, we're signing off for the week here on VCTV, but we'll be back on Monday with more VCTV and also all of the news and all the headlines with context that you need to know here in blockchain and crypto. So look to join us next week. We've got a ton of content and great speakers and investors from around the world to share their insights here on VCTV. So get ready to tune in. With that, we'll see you all next week. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for tuning in.
Bye, Kyle.
See you, Harsh. Bye.
Bye-bye.